Ben Jennings here with another installment in our kind of 9-year plan to go through every book of the Bible, through Explore the Bible. And we're in our session on number 6 in the book of Acts, the first half of the book of Acts for 2024. This particular session is called Accountable, and it covers the end of chapter 4, which is verse 36 to 37. And then in through chapter 5 all the way to verse 11. This particular lesson has as its subject accountability, and really accountability around serving, around giving, around doing things for the Lord. This is the early church, and it's kind of the first in the book of Acts of really kind of wrong things happening in the church. Up until this point, you've had a church that was very unified, a church that's very doing a lot of very good things. That's kind of centralized in Jerusalem, and it is it's a great example. There we've studied in the past few weeks the unity of that church, their Great Commission impact, their ministry and God, their spirit filling and all of that. Today we see 3 examples of this idea that God holds people accountable for what they do, how they serve, and how they give. And so we're going to see three exhibits, almost like trying a case and showing evidence, making a case for this idea that God cares about our motives. So we can see that God holds people accountable for their motives in service by observing 3 pieces of evidence found in Acts chapter 4, verses 36 through 5:11. The first exhibit is Exhibit A, and this would be a good example. You have 3 people that in action do the same thing. What they do is that these are all rich people. What I mean by rich is that they had more than they need for the day. The typical person in this time in history very much resonated with Jesus's words in the model prayer, where he says, "Give us this day our daily bread." Most people were working today for money that they got today so that they could provide for what they needed for today. They didn't have extra for a lot of tomorrows. That was most people in this time of history. In fact, that's probably been most of history. Most of world history has been that we are rich people today because we have more than we need for today. So I say all that to say, you see Barnabas, you see Ananias, and you see Sapphira, and all 3 of them did the same thing. They had land, they sold land, and they gave the land. You see that, but you have different outcomes and different motives. First, you see in verse 36, Exhibit A, Barnabas, and Joseph, who by the apostles was surnamed Barnabas, which is being interpreted the son of consolation, a Levite, and of the country of Cyprus, having land, sold it, and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. You have a really good example here of someone who has a heart for consolation, for encouragement. Barnabas was known as an encourager. He is known as someone who just wanted to make a difference. I think of different people in our church. There's guys in our church that maybe their gift isn't this like being in front of everybody kind of gift. But their gift is just in the background, just helping and giving and encouraging and coming alongside. You need people like that. Some people do have the gift of teaching in that. Some people, I think of people in my church that are like that. They're just rich in good works, and they can, and like in this particular situation, they know how to make money because they're good at helping and serving and doing. God's gifted them that way. They use that gift to help and bless others, and that's what is happening here with Barnabas. He sold this land. He had extra money, and he gave it to the apostles. He laid it at their feet. And the idea there is, I am giving this, and I trust for you, apostles, to use this in a way that would honor God. And I'm not. He's not designating the funds to go where I want it to go. We need the Barnabas Center for Troubled Youth, or getting his name named after anything. He just brought it and gave it, and that's what happened. So Exhibit A is Barnabas. He's giving the right way, and because this is set right next to the next two people, it's giving us this indication that the giving was obviously not the wrong thing. He was giving, and he's making a difference with what he was giving and how he was serving. Exhibit B is Ananias. It, the chapter starts out with but. There's that idea of but is this contrast to what just, hey, there's giving that was good, but then there's this giving that's not the same. It's the same action, but it's not the same. Verse 1. But a certain man named Ananias with Sapphira his wife sold a possession and kept back part of the price. So we don't know that it was land. Oh, no, it is land. Because it says later in verse 8, you sold land. So they sold this possession, they sold this land and kept back part of the price. His wife also being privy to it, and brought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. Now, some would say, well, that doesn't seem weird. Why would it be wrong to only give part of what was sold? I think the indication and what you can see here is that they were wanting to seem, they were wanting to project that they were giving everything, that they were doing what Barnabas did, that this is just the sacrificial gift and that they were giving it all. And there's a heart problem that's here. But Peter said, Ananias, why has Satan filled that heart to lie to the Holy Ghost and to keep back part of the price of the land? While as it remained, was it not thine own? After it was sold, was it not in thine power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto God. So the issue here was that it was a lie, that he was projecting that he was doing something that he was not doing. And look what happened. This is kind of scary. This would change up, I think, offering time at church. Verse 5, and Ananias, hearing these words, fell down and gave up the ghost, and great fear came upon all them that heard these things. Oh, I better be honest, yeah. And the young men arose, wound him up, and carried him out and buried him. So Exhibit B is Ananias. He gave, but he gave deceitfully. He did not give everything he had, but projected like he did. Exhibit C is Sapphira. She apparently didn't come at the same time. Verse 7, it was about the space of 3 hours after when his wife, not knowing what was done, came in, and Peter answered her, tell me whether you sold the land for so much. And he gave her some kind of amount, I guess. She said, yea, for so much. So she showed that she had lied with her husband. They had conspired together to lie. Verse 9, then Peter said unto her, how is it that ye have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at the door, and shall carry thee out. Then she fell down straightway at his feet, yielded up the ghost. And the young men came in and found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her husband. And great fear came upon all the church, and upon as many as heard these things. Was the issue that they gave? No and yes. What was the issue? It wasn't the act of giving, it was the act of deceit in giving. It was the act of wrong motives, wanting to be seen, wanting to be, wanting to, on the one hand, seem spiritual, and on the other hand, be carnal, be materialistic, to be deceitful, to not be truthful, to not be transparent. I think this was important in the life of the church at the beginning because God needed especially at the beginning, there needed to be a pure church. There needed to be an assembly of people that were doing the right thing, and there needed to be the fear of God kept in this group of people. And that's definitely what happened. They said that great fear came upon all the assembly, upon as many as heard these things. And so it had its intended effect, I believe. These people did not lose their salvation. If they were saved, I believe that they were. They just they were ended up being examples. You have these three examples: Barnabas, who gives and does it for the right reasons, and then you have Ananias and Sapphira, who conspire to give and to give deceitfully. And so I think this is like a message of Jesus, that it's not just about the external. I've heard even Jews today, Jews who still practice Judaism, who don't believe in Jesus, say, yeah, faith and works, what you believe in your heart doesn't really matter to me. It's what you do that matters to me. Well, I understand some of that. Like, um, murdering someone in your heart, hating them in your heart, is not the same as actually killing them, but it's equally, it's not less of, it's not a sin. It's still a sin. And to ignore the heart leads to tragic actions. To say, I just care what people do, not what they believe. But the thing is, everything we do comes out of what we believe. What we believe directs what we end up doing. And so God's concerned not just with our actions, he's concerned with our heart. And so the natural question is, not only are you giving, but why are you giving? Not only why are you serving, but why are you serving? It's not just, are you externally worshiping when you come to church and singing and greeting and saying, hey, how are you, and being kind and encouraging. Do you mean, are you sincere? Are you authentic in what you're doing and saying? And this is the idea of integrity, right? Integrity is wholeness. I'm the same here as I am there. I'm the same person in private as I am in public. I'm the same person uh, in both places. It's not that I'm perfect everywhere, but it's that I'm not. There's not a part of me that it's like I'm worried someone might discover, someone might find out. This is what's going on. So, um, Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. Barnabas, it's really kind of A and B. A, B, and C in the text, but really kind of two examples. You got Barnabas, who's giving, and he's doing it sincerely, honestly, transparently, and willingly, in the sense that he's not trying to get some notoriety from it. He's just doing good because he loves God. He loves God's people. He loves the assembly, what God's doing. You have Ananias and Sapphira, who are giving, but they're giving because they're giving deceitfully. They're giving without right motives, and they're trying to lie to the Holy Spirit, who's inside of us and knows us completely. We ought not to do those things. And before we get too high and mighty about all of that, the truth is we may have all. This should strike fear in our hearts, because we've probably all been where Ananias and Sapphira are. Like, I want to do something, but not wholeheartedly. I want to do something, but I also want to keep this part back. We've probably all been there, and it's a bad place to be. Let's do what we're supposed to do for the right reason, and let God change our hearts so that that could be how we give, how we love, how we serve, how we worship. I hope this helped you as you thought through the lesson, and that this will impact your heart before it impacts the heart of the people you're serving and teaching today. Have a great week, and keep studying.